So let's start over. We'll try and make it fast, okay? So I'm going to call the July 2nd, 2024 Hamilton Planning Board meeting to order. First order of business, we'll take roll. Again, when I call your name, please indicate that you're present. Pat Norton.
Present.
Jonathan Poor.
Jonathan Poor, present.
Emil Dahlquist.
Recording in progress.
Oh, sorry.
Emil Dahlquist, present.
Darcy Dale.
Darcy Dale, present.
Matt Hamill.
Matt Hamill, present.
Jeff Austin.
Jeff Austin, present.
Beth Herr.
Present.
And Marnie Crouch, present. So I guess, Patrick, you need to read the Scenic Road application notice again for
Right.
posterity.
Scenic Road public hearing in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15C. The Hamilton Planning Board will hold a scenic roadway special permit public hearing July 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Hamilton Wenham Public Library and via Zoom electronic with call-in options as to be shown within an upcoming agenda for July 2nd, 2024 to be posted with the town clerk and on the town website to consider this application. The applicant, Jeff Alsop, intends upon relocating a driveway access at 21 and 23 Gardner Street and must remove and relocate portions of existing stone wall along Gardner Street to accommodate a safer access to the property and allow for utility installation. An application for the proposed stone wall removal is available with the Hamilton Building Department. All wishing to be heard regarding the matter should attend the hearing in person or via Zoom, which will be posted with the town clerk and held as part of the July 2nd, 2024 Hamilton Planning Board regular meeting.
Okay. So as I alluded to before, before we were being recorded, I'm going to turn the matter over to Mr. Alsop to make a presentation about what he's actually intending to do here, although I think in large part it is self-explanatory. And after that, I'll open the meeting to any questions or comments by planning board members and then the public. So Mr. Alsop, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for taking your evening to review this proposal. And it is a beautiful evening, so hopefully we'll get out when there's still some sunshine. Some of you have met me before with regard to this project. We are in a position where certainly having gotten to know the project and the way traffic flows around it, I was really compelled to try to arrange a safer solution for what is known now as 21 Gardner Street, which is the gray antique two-family house and the barn. Currently, it has sort of a loop through of actually 3 or 4 curb cuts, 3 on Moulton, 1 on Gardner Street. But in the future, it really will only have one access off of Gardner. So for this aspect of the request, you can see here. Do you see my cursor? I think you would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I like to refer to as the Route 1A Speedway is, this is supposed to be 30 miles an hour in both directions through the S turn, heading either to Ipswich or to Hamilton, depending on your route. I think you can kind of discern this stripe in the pavement. What occurs with great frequency is a car coming and actually accelerating at this point. So I'm possibly going 30 miles an hour, probably going more towards Ipswich, north on 1A. And you can see here that there are these two granite posts here, and the driveway is practically without a decision-making distance. And our neighbor here walks through and has I shared this with neighbors so that they could understand what the presentation was going to be about. And pretty much universally, people think that this is a very dangerous situation. So my proposal is that we would actually take this opening and move it approximately 20 feet down Gardner and use the same stone to infill the opening. Use the same granite bollards. It's a little bit narrower than 16 feet now, which is also a problem because if you can imagine, you can't turn in from Bay Road where it is now. And even coming this way, if you're dodging cars, it's really dangerous situation. There are mature trees further down than the 20 feet, but also got a restriction. The building envelope as defined in the CR comes pretty much right about here and across like that. So I am limited to keep access to within the building envelope, which therefore restricts me to coming through right about here. I've got a great stonemason named Tom Williamson. He has done stone wall work for me. This is a classic, and we'll go to these pictures now. It's a classic fieldstone farmer's wall. And I said to Tom, do you want to come and do you want to come and number the stones? And he said, as long as you want the big ones on the bottom and the little ones on top, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that's and you can see here, there's the car coming, and there's you can really, and after the paving, actually, you can really see the black stripes of the vehicle, tires. So basically flipping that one over to this side. And I'd prefer more, but you can see that we have the beech trees that are here, and the drill hole for the building envelope is in this stone right there. So that's the stone, the driveway replacement, realignment. Up here towards the main entrance to 25 Gardner, you can see that telephone pole there, power pole. So what we've done is set up easements to install underground conduits for power and cable, and also to bring town water new services into the old house, which we are restoring and renovating for a new owner. So this is going to provide new utilities to that house, but also provide new utilities to the adjacent building lot. And it's a bit of a long story, but as a former arborist, we had the access and utility easement running up the alley in what is to be the common driveway for the two houses. And instead, we're putting it outside the drip line in the field so that those trees in the alley, which are older, will not be impacted at all by the underground utilities. So that wall There's the pole here. This is the section that we would remove. And of course, restore using the same stone. And that's the crux of it. I'm a firm believer in the scenic road bylaw. I happen to live on Blackbrook Road and Cutler Road, and I think it's a great tool to make sure that the character of the town stays intact.
Well, thank you. And I understand now exactly why you did what you did. I mean, you were limited by the conservation restriction from moving the driveway any further north and east along Gardner Street. So do any planning board members have any questions for Mr. Alsop?
I just have a couple. First of all, I just want to know, let you guys know that that's actually known as Dead Man's Curve in Hamilton. A lot of people call it Dead Man's Curve for a reason, but yeah, you can see how dangerous that is. What's the length of time that it will take to do what you want to do?
It was our intent and our stonemason's intent to do them both at the same time. He would bring his own equipment to disassemble this portion of the wall and reset the granite posts. In this situation here, my excavator for the underground utilities will remove the wall, and we have the option or the ability to do all the cross-country trenching to the wall. And then we are at the behest of National Grid for when they are going to finally give us, our permits, for installing the transformer and actually the sweeps of the pole. So, all the part across the meadow could be, restored in August, early August. The wall, if we can get National Grid to agree to the permit, we're hopefully very close. Then we could breach the wall and do the sweeps of the pole at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I perceive that everything could be complete in September, which is good growing season for restoring the hay field.
And the other thing is, what's the distance between those two driveways?
From here to the main driveway?
No, you have a driveway that's shared, and then you're going to have another driveway. What's the difference between those two?
Let's see, so you're talking about from here to here, right?
I can't really see that well.
So
from your red cursor there, that red mark to the clamshell drive, it looks like a clamshell driveway to me from here.
Yeah. All the way down to the Dead Man's Corner?
No, the other way, to the shared driveway.
I'm not following you.
Oh,
There's only one driveway.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's just putting an opening in the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This will be
a white driveway there.
So this will be restored. Yeah, this will just be closed back up once the utilities are in. Yeah. So the main driveway, if you're familiar with Gardner, is the only driveway accessing that part of the property.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. You had said there were multiple curb cuts into that property and you're going to reduce it to one. So is it convenient and safe and possible to drive in and out forwards, or do you ever have to back out of that driveway in any instance?
Yeah, I would never try to back out of that driveway. Yeah. I mean, there is room to turn around for sure.
Okay, good. So the other question is, I know that there's some shrubs on the corner there. And I know that's not what you're asking for the permit for, but just for safety's sake, could there be any consideration of moving those shrubs back away from the wall a little bit so you still maintain privacy in your yard, but it improves the sight lines around the corner?
I think that's a fine consideration. They're, I believe, lilacs. They're older, but there is a stockade fence as well.
Right.
So that runs pretty much out there to where the shrubs begin.
And maybe the stockade fence could also be turned in on itself so that you maintain the privacy, but you open up the sight lines. I plead ignorance here as to whether Hamilton has any sightline clearances. I know Gloucester has some very specific dimensions around intersections like this, but forgive me that I don't know the bylaw well enough to know if there's any sightline restrictions. Patrick, maybe you know if
I
there are.
believe it's 50 foot.
I've blown this one up. Certainly, actually, a good example. There's the car. There's the end of the stockade fence, which doesn't really actually block. And then that's the realtor's sign right there.
Yep.
But this shrub certainly, I don't want to sound crass, but they're not particularly great plants. That certainly could go, I would say.
So again, it doesn't really affect the scenicness of the road, but it would certainly improve the safety.
Yeah, I think that's true. Particularly,
and that very tip of the yard doesn't look like it's particularly useful to the occupants because it's a wedge shape there, and pulling that back just a little bit might even improve the proportions of the yard. Again, that's just some thoughts.
Mm-hmm. If I might extend the discussion a little bit, when I believe that the right of way for Bay Road when it was changed and there was a taking, I think they took too much. So if you see the corner of the gray building, that's basically shown in the right of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I have talked with Tim Olson and others in the DPW to see about petitioning the state to allow us to put some kind of curbing or some kind of bollards along that right of way, because right now the face of the front of that building is literally a Jersey barrier. So that's been fairly deadly too.
Yeah. So which sort of leads me to my last question or comment, which is, I know this is a large property and a complex property and you're discovering things as you go. It would be, I think, probably efficient for your process and certainly efficient for the planning board process to sort of look ahead at the whole property, all the things that you're going to be looking to modify and ask relief for, and see if there's a way to come up with a kind of a comprehensive approach to it.
I'm done. No, I'm done. Yeah, this is a very specific request and has to do with utilities, and we're in good shape. We won't take up much of your time.
Yeah. So no, we appreciate you coming to us. It just really, the thought is to look at things comprehensively. That's all.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you mentioned a conservation restriction. Is there a drawing that shows where that CR exists and where your proposed cut through? It sounds like you got an easement for the utility to cut through that CR. Is that right? And then you're skirting the edge of it with the. It'd be good to see a drawing that identifies the CR in your proposed work to understand what you're impacting, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, the CR plan exists. for sure. Yeah. We have some easement drawings that we've developed to indicate the routes, so we can have the approvals from National Grid. So yeah, I could probably find you the CR plan fairly easily, but it's recorded. It's all,
I believe
Holds
we may
the-
have
sorry,
seen it.
Who
I think
owns,
at one of our prior hearings,
yeah.
you
Yeah, it
had
was at a previous hearing.
drawings
Yeah.
that showed where the CR,
Yeah, we saw it
like
before.
there's several, I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
Yes, you have with the A&R plan.
Right, right.
have you contacted the holder of that? I don't know who owns the CR, but
Oh, I'm in constant contact. Yeah, it's being held by Essex County Greenbelt.
oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, we're in constant contact. I was the architect and the builder that built their headquarters. So I had to step off the board for a few years, but
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
thanks. One question I have for you all is, as a special permit, but with a scenic road, do you imagine that there would be an appeal period for this permit? Because we'd like to get going.
Well, there is an appeal period, and regrettably, I didn't look up what it is, and my memory is not coming to my rescue. It would probably be either 20 or 30 days, something along those lines.
I believe it's 20, Marty.
20, yeah. If you've communicated with all your abutters,
Yeah.
and you've communicated with the DPW, and I don't know, I did think to ask whether you had talked to the chief of police about, improving the sightlines here, and whether he had opined at all about your proposed plans or had any suggestions. But and if no member of the public is here tonight to speak in opposition, I would imagine that you're not going to have an appeal, but I would not, swear to that. But if you've not heard any complaints and there's no one here complaining, I would surmise that you're pretty safe in assuming there's not likely to be one.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
you're not-
and I have heard from the neighbors that they think moving that driveway would be a very helpful improvement.
Right, and
Yeah,
where you're
yeah.
just taking down the stone wall to do some installation of utilities and you're putting it back up, no harm, no foul.
Right.
And again, you're making a safer access and egress for whomever buys that property. This is in the historic district, am I correct?
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
No, the Historic District Commission actually put the gray antique on. It's actually the first ever where they implemented the demo delay bylaw.
Oh,
so
okay.
But they now have a purview over buildings. I think it's 1940, older than 1940, that could be demolished. They are. But anyway, this is the first one, and then we actually adjusted the lot lines from our original proposal to accommodate saving that building. It's just too bad. It's too bad. It's they made the road so big.
Right.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. I noticed that Bill Wheaton is in the attendees. I don't know whether you want to promote him and see if he has any
Yes.
input.
Patrick, can you take care of that? I think Patrick has to handle that. Is Patrick still with us?
Yes, and I
Oh,
I've just gotten Bill activated.
Oh, okay. Hi, Bill. Oh, it's muted. Are you with us now, Bill?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Did you have any questions for Mr. Alsop?
No. I would hope that when any rebuilding of the fence of the stone wall, it doesn't include pillars and columns and some of the other things that people do sometimes when they rebuild an old stone wall.
Well, Bill,
Something
this,
simple and appropriate.
this, no, well, the rebuilding, certainly the piece they were breaching for the utilities, we'll just simply go back as best we can. These original granite piers, I was intending to reuse.
Oh, okay. That would be great. Okay.
Yeah, and they've got nice remnant wrought iron hardware and stuff that you can still see and liken.
Patrick, can you ascertain whether there are any members of the public in attendance?
We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 individuals, including David Rimmer from Essex Greenbelt.
Right, so if anybody listening here would like to ask some questions or make some comments, I invite you to do so now.
So would they need to raise their hand, since I don't know if they have the ability to speak?
I have given everybody the ability to, since there are only
Excellent.
3.
So does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question for Jeffrey Alsop. When you put the new driveway in that you're going to relocate 20 feet or so up Gardner, I think the only critical thing from my standpoint would be that you actually make that road at the end perpendicular to Gardner as opposed to a sharp angle, so that entry off the property onto Gardner is more of a right angle than a sharp angle. That would be the only thing. It looks like, because I was concerned how if you really went up 20, 30 feet or so with those existing trees, you would have a problem there to give yourself enough room to have a car at a standstill 20 feet deep into the property. You know what I mean?
I do. I think we can accommodate it.
Yeah.
You know, it would be about, you see this little darker patch
Yes,
right
I do.
there?
Yeah.
That's kind of where it would
Okay.
break.
Yeah, it looks like you got plenty of room to do that then. Yeah.
And some of this might actually, remain as, a spot that you could back in to turn around too.
Sure. Or if you have company, you're going to need parking in there.
Yeah.
Too. I can.
And if it did go further up, you're absolutely right. The beech tree that's here, would have precluded getting that. Yeah, I would want to come through that wall 90 degrees.
Yeah, those beech are dying all over the place. I don't know.
Oh,
if you've
yeah,
seen it.
yeah,
They're really in a blight.
yeah.
So I hope you keep yours. But
We're working on it.
yeah, also concur with Jonathan that the sight lines, if you can still maintain from a seated position in a car a view of 1A as cars come north on that, because that is a treacherous corner. I've used it many times, and people do not slow down when they hit the corner.
They accelerate.
They accelerate, correct. So the sooner you can see a car, and if you can spare a section of that stockade fence, I did a drive-by today, and those bushes, I think that would really improve things.
Yeah.
Along with the change in location. I think both of those are really positive moves.
Yeah. I wish it was further, but you know.
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
it-
I
But I
understand.
think you're right, taking care of the fence and
Yeah.
there's no love lost.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
Point.
Yeah. Great.
Anyone else?
No?
Last chance before I ask for a motion. So, would anyone care to make a motion to approve this special permit?
So moved?
And do I have a second?
Second?
So when I call your name, would you please indicate whether you approve of the motion to allow Mr. Alsup to proceed with his plans with respect to the two alterations to the stone wall on Gardner Street? So Pat Norton,
Pat Norton, aye.
Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Bill Wheaton,
Bill Wheaton, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
and Marty Crouch, aye. So Patrick, am I right that we will have to sign some of these plans at some point?
You'll have to sign the decision, which I will write up. There weren't any real conditions that the board mentioned tonight, but I can prepare a decision for your signatures at our next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. That would be July 16th.
Correct.
Mr. Alsop, I hope that's not too long a delay for you.
No, that's fine. Yep, everything's fine. I appreciate your time tonight and your attention to the details of things. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I think that what you're planning here will definitely make safer situation for the house there on the corner. And I'm glad you're sensitive to the historic nature of this property and the stone wall and the trees and whatnot. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Good night. This was the only item on our agenda. We had some difficulties with the notice and scheduling for the stormwater management regulations, and we're going to consider them on July 16th. And also on July 16th, we do have an executive session with Robin Stein, and with some time permitting, we will return to the master plan. But for this evening, this was the only item on the agenda, and in the absence of any comments or concerns, we can proceed to adjourn.
I have a question, Marty. It's Beth. Are we going to be doing the executive session at the beginning or the end of the meeting on the 16th?
We usually do them at the end so that we can close out, we can end the meeting at the end of the executive session. What happens if we start the meeting with the executive session is that people who want to consider the stormwater management regulations, for example, and master plan, don't know when or how long our executive session will last, and it's very difficult for them to stay tuned to become to then become part of the meeting. So I think we'll have the executive session at the end, and I don't really anticipate that executive session will take too long. If it lasted a half an hour, I would be surprised, but sometimes I'm surprised. So we'll have to see. But the issues that we will be addressing, I think, are fairly straightforward. So
I make a motion to adjourn unless there's other questions.
Second?
okay, when I call your name, would you please indicate that you said Pat Norton,
Pat Norton, aye.
Jonathan Poor,
Jonathan Poor, aye.
Bill Wheaton,
Bill Wheaton, aye.
Emil Dahlquist,
Emil Dahlquist, aye.
Beth Herr,
Aye.
Darcy Dale,
Darcy Dale, aye.
and Marnie Crouch, aye. So everyone have a good evening. It's
Yeah, good
still
Recording
kind
stopped.
of nice here, but in Pittsburgh, we're at the other end of the time zone, so it's a little bit different. So, good night.
Good
Good night.
night.